Hey, what's going on, family? TSpeaks here. Thanks so much for joining. So I wanted to continue a conversation that we were having earlier on IG with regards to being a victim or victorious. As many of you, probably everybody feels right now that we're going through what they would call a recession, although the government is not trying to say it's a recession. But all you have to do is basically look around and see gas prices up, food is going up, ridiculous, all kinds of labor. Even people cleaning your houses, those prices are, believe it or not, going up as well. So no matter what area you're in your life, you're recognizing two things. Number one, your paycheck isn't growing. Number two, everything else is eating at your paycheck. And as we said earlier, the one thing that's eating at your paycheck is taxes, which you don't recognize. But you should realize that it is being eaten up 5 times before you even get it in your pocket. You're paying state, you're paying the city, you're paying the government, regardless. They say Uncle Sam wants his share. Except I never met my uncle. I never met him, and I don't even like him because he took something I wasn't willing to give him. But I digress. So we're seeing that our paychecks aren't going as far as they were going, although, believe it or not, you're never having a full paycheck. Because even after you get all your after-tax or net money or pay, you're still paying taxes on everything that you buy. So you're getting taxed again. You're buying gas, you're getting taxed. You're buying cigarettes, you're getting taxed. You're buying groceries. Whatever it is, you're going to a restaurant, whatever it is, your clothes, you're going to still get taxed again. So it's like the paycheck is getting smaller and smaller, though it's the same amount. Now, as I said earlier, you guys can actually think about it in terms of there's nothing I can do. I'm a victim. Man, and we can complain during our lunch hour. We can complain to our friends. We can have a pity party, as you guys have heard the expression, where we just talk to each other about the things that are wrong. Have you ever noticed that whenever you get in a circle and people start complaining, you feel worse after you complain instead of better? Have you ever noticed that? You'll complain to a friend. They will chime in with their 2 cents. And before you know it, you guys are getting off the phone or you're leaving each other's company and nobody's feeling any better. There's a good reason for that, which we're going to get into in a little bit. So in order to be a victor or victorious, even in these times, there's a couple things that we need to do differently than what we've probably ever done before. And that's think. We need to start thinking in our own minds what we want to do, what we should do, what we can do. That's the first step, to think, because we're not taught to think. When we have our jobs, what we're taught to do is, I'm not going to say mindless, but it's thinking about what's in front of us. So and people say, oh, I have 10 years of experience. I submit to you that maybe you've done the same thing for 10 years straight. So it's not as if you gained more experience. You just repetitively done the same thing for 5 years, 10 years, even to retirement. But it's not as if you've done different things. So you haven't expanded or broadened your knowledge. Which, speaking about knowledge, I want to touch on that just for a little bit. So we go to school and there is a majority of people, over 93%, I believe the statistic said when I looked on it recently, have gone to school to do one thing. Come out of school and do something totally different. And during these times, people are recognizing my degree isn't necessarily helping me make more money. My degree, if you will, is giving me more debt. Because if you don't pay for it straight out your pocket, you do something like student loans. You get loans and then you come out and you're struggling to pay off all the loans that you just accumulated by getting a regular education, which you thought could catapult you into, quote unquote, having the American dream. Well, I'll tell you, I don't know about you, but I've recognized they sold me an American nightmare. I did, like many of you have gone to school, have gotten my degree, and came out and said, okay, now how do I pay for this degree? How do I even make enough money to take care of myself? This is before I had kids. To take care of myself and to pay back the student loans and to have a life. Kind of hard to do all of them at the same time and quote unquote get it all done. So you get these things that are, believe it or not, taxed on the amount of money that you borrowed from the government. So you're paying interest on that money. So you're basically digging yourself into a nice big hole. Where does it all end? Now the victim mentality says, I can't get out of this cycle. So I'll complain to my friends, I'll complain to my family, I may even complain to my quote unquote boss. Not that the boss is going to change his salary, because I've never heard of a boss saying mid-year or after the first quarter or after the first 9 months, hey, times are hard right now. I understand your paycheck isn't going as far. Let me give you a 10% incremental raise right now just to kind of help you and your family make it. No. What the boss is doing is say, hey, I told you in the very beginning of the year I was going to pay you this throughout the entire year. Whether or not you do better or worse, I'm still going to give you this money, and I may not give you a bonus or an increase depending on what you do for the year. That's kind of the cycle of, believe it or not, getting a paycheck and working on a job. And see, I can't blame you guys, can't blame myself for actually buying into that. Why? Because we were taught. We were taught to do that. And it worked for a period of time, maybe for our parents. It worked where they could actually get a job and literally take care of themselves. And they could go to school because it's like, hey, you get a degree in this field, you get a bump up and raise, you become a manager, and you do these things according to what your degree is in. There was a period when getting an education made sense. Getting an education was the way to go. Well, right about now, with the recession, with just the way the world is turning fast, the world is moving lightning fast, and this internet thing really helped that. The age of internet, techno savvy, computers, microchips, and just on the highway, just going faster and faster, is changing. So I'm going to submit to you, instead of being a victim, the first thing we need to do is get out of the old mentality to change our mind. How do we change our mind? We change our mind, and believe it or not, we erase everything that we were taught. We erase the things that we were taught to do in order to be, quote unquote, successful. We erase the thought where I have to go and get a 4-year degree, 16 years. That's after you get out of regular high school. Then you go to college, and then you go to graduate school. Then you may get a PhD. You might get paid at that point at a PhD. But the majority of people that are actually getting paid what they want to at a PhD level is getting less and less. And not only that, the time period. So answer this. If we're in the age where everything is moving, right? Everything is moving. Silicon Valley is booming. We're making so much headway with emails that can go in an instant. Italy can get an email that I send, and I do have a counterpart in Italy I talk to. He gets the message instantaneous. There's a such thing as WhatsApp where you can actually talk to someone via video real time. So why does it take so long to realize a gain from going to school? I'm going to submit to you because those days have passed. The new age that we're in, and we've been in it for a while, but right now things are accelerating. Instead of being a victim, it is possible to be victorious. How do we do that? We start thinking to ourselves, away from what the school told us, to only think about what the job wants you to do. But the job won't save us. The job won't help us. The job will keep us just over broke, keep us coming back just enough. And that's what they did in the 50s. They gave people enough if they worked on a farm. Sharecroppers, they gave them enough to make it to where they can stay strong enough to keep tilling the ground, to keep taking care of that. Sharecroppers, so you never basically get ahead. You basically just have enough almost running in place. I'm healthy, but I'm getting nowhere. I'm just moving. These days, we have to think about things differently. We have to think, period. So I submit to you that the best way to get out of the present situation, to almost let this recession, and right now, the recession is hitting all over. Stock markets, you guys, those that have had stock markets, portfolios, munis, all of those, everything is getting hit. Even my portfolios are getting hit. My clients' portfolios are getting hit. Thank goodness you're into it for the hopefully the long haul, you're into it so you won't necessarily feel it except a paper loss. You don't really sign a real loss until you sell. And this is not the period to sell unless you recognize that it's going to go down so low, it's going to take years to go back up, which may be possible. Use your advisor to speak about that to decide which way you want to go. But one of the things that we have to do right now, as I said, is to think. How do I get out of this situation? How do we get past this recession to where we don't feel it? So when we go into a store and we purchase things and we don't necessarily look at the cost of it because money is coming in. And there's enough money coming in to where there's a surplus. So bills are getting paid and we have money for leisure. We have financial freedom. How do we get to the position when we're not feeling the squeeze of a recession, of a stock market? Because you notice, stock market goes like this, up and down, just like housing. Housing goes up right now. It's the seller's market. You have a house that was worth $250,000 last year. That same house is probably worth about $550,000 right now. Same house on less than a quarter of an acre, the same square footage, the same lawn that needs watering, but it's the same thing, but the mentality, the mindset has changed. So it becomes more valuable. And that's what takes me to my next point. The most valuable thing that you can do right now is not physical. It is not the one that implements the actions. That's the ones on the job who are doing the first steps, who are implementing whatever that the quote unquote boss wants to do. That's not the way to actually get ahead, because all that's going to do is, number one, get you tired. Number two, that is the lowest level of pay that you can get. So right now we have to think to ourselves, how do we get ourselves in the driver's seat? How do we become bosses? How do we become, if you will, masters of our own fate in this period where, if you see, millionaires are popping up all over, billionaires are popping up all over. As a matter of fact, I was just looking the other day, someone that I actually knew years ago who had zero content whatsoever, nothing really to say, just kept getting on saying nothing, and they're a millionaire on nothing. It is possible to have content, to have real things to say, and to actually formulate that into what? A life, a level of consistent income coming in. How do we do that? Number one, we think about where we are, and we think about where we want to go. This is the period when you have to pretty much not disregard your teachers, but you have to become the person that teaches yourself what you want to know. So if you decide, I want to do this, I want to become this person, I want to learn how to do this in order that I can teach this, or I have a particular talent or gift where I want to give it to others and I want to show them how they can access theirs or do what they need to do in order to get ahead. And don't worry about your competition. You literally, I have no competition. Why? Because I am uniquely and wonderfully made, and that my soul knows right well. Here's the thing, family. One of the key things to thinking is just that, thinking. The Bible says, whatsoever a man or woman thinketh, that he is. If you think of yourself as successful, believe it or not, you will become successful, because something happens between your thoughts, your words, and your deeds. I'll say that again. Something happens with your thoughts. If you change your mind from a victim to victorious, it translates into your mouth and what you speak. No longer, milk costs, whatever milk really does cost, I don't know. Whatever milk costs, instead of doing that as the victim, I'm going to get milk. And to make sure that you start to literally speak those things that are not as if they are. Something happens in life and it actually comes to pass. It comes to life. I don't know how that is. It's written in the Bible. It is, and you guys know I'm a Bible believing person. But it is some reason, you ever said something and turned around and you did what you said almost unconsciously, but it just happens. It just turns around. I'm going to live here, and you wind up living there. I'm going to find her. I'm going to date her, and I'm going to marry her, and you date her and marry her. I'm going to go buy this, and it could be something crazy. I'm going to go buy a boat. Next thing you know, you have a boat. Because when you think, you conceive a thought in your mind, you speak it out your mouth, and next thing you know, you start to do that almost consciously or unconsciously, and you obtain that. So whatever a man thinketh, that he is. So if you think of yourself as successful, you will look for ways, believe it or not, in the universe. It's kind of like you're calling success to you in different ways that will reveal themselves to you, be it a conversation for someone at lunchtime, be it in a store or at a bookstore, in a restaurant. You never know where, but one thing I can promise you is no matter how it happens, it happens. Success does come to those who think of themselves successful. Just like if you ever have a period when you say, if one more thing's happened to me, if one more person does this, it's going to get on my nerves. And what happens? It gets on your nerves. Whatever you called, it actually produces. So you send it out there. The law of attraction, you sent it out there. One more thing getting on my nerves, or I'm never going to get out of this. I'm never going to get these bills paid. I'm never going to get my own this. I'm never going to be able to retire early. I'm never going to be financial. And for some reason, those start to take life, those words that is. Because they say life and death is in the power of the tongue. So go from victim to victorious by thinking a thing. And then start using your power to produce a thing out of your mouth. Now, here's the thing that you have to do. You have to start setting real goals, and you have to start doing those goals. Now, that's going to have you to be a doer. So we'll get into another time, because first you need to start becoming. You need to be the person that you need to be in order to do what needs to be done to have what you want. There is a step and there's a process to this. But most people don't get off or out the boat because they feel as if they can't. They let fear stop them. They let fear trap them. They let fear, which is an imaginary emotion, grip them to where they're so anxious and there's so much apprehension to where you just apprehend yourself. You don't move. You don't look out there. You don't have a conversation. You don't even think of ways to get out of it because you're so fearful of it not working. And I want to just say this. I have this thought. Those that are thinking that they have taken so long in their life, how can you start doing something different? How can you change your mind and have something different? Because you've waited so long, because you're so much older, because you have so much obligations. No. The fact of the matter is, age has nothing to do with success, believe it or not. Age has, and I'll say that again, nothing to do with success. You know what has to do with success? You changing your mind. Whatever stage you change your mind, you change your life. You change it at the point you change your mind. It's almost like turning the page or starting a new book or a new chapter. You become the new you that's looking for ways in order to bring about what you have thought or conceived in your mind. Because don't forget, whatever a man thinketh, that he is. Life and death is in the power of the tongue. And here's the other thing. If you start to establish, I'm going to do this, and you start to speak it, you have to have faith that it's going to come to pass. But faith has to be mixed with works. Faith without works is dead. You show me a man whose faith without works, I'll show you my faith by my works. What does that mean? If I believe it, you can see it. You can see what I believe. You can absolutely see that I believe that I am successful. Not going to be, I am successful. You see the finished product. What does that look like? Oh, that looks like you can see me reading. You can see me taking a challenge. You can see me positioning myself with someone who knows the information that I want. You can see me, if you will, creating an alliance or connections with individuals who are going the same way, who are doing the same thing, who have the information to give me that I can use to further myself. That's how it looks like. Here's a person without the works, just faith by themselves. Faith, just a lip service. What are you doing? Nothing. I'm just watching this game. Did you see Golden State? They just won. Hey, listen, man, I'm ready to go I'm ready to go swimming. I gotta go take a nap. I gotta go watch TV. Or I'm watching this whole rerun show of Space Invader. Star Wars. You'll see what a person believes by what they do. I'll say that again. You'll see what a person believes by what they do. It is very, very crucial that you start to align yourself with individuals or affiliates, connections that are going to help you get to where you want to be. And this is definitely true. You've heard the saying when they say, if you're the smartest one in your circle, you need another circle. We're going to get into that another time, maybe another broadcast. But it is absolutely essential for you to not be the smartest one in your circle. And here's the reason why. Every successful person that I know, that's the key thing that they did. They changed their circle. They changed their mind. They changed their words, but they also changed their circle. Because if we are all thinking the same and doing the same, who's going to give a thought as to doing something different and better to get to another level? No one. Because no one is actually thinking that far ahead. Everyone is being caught up, and get this, satisfied with what they're doing because they're looking this way and they're looking that way, and their counterparts are doing the exact same. So how can I be crucial of you and critical of what you're doing if I'm doing the same thing, or to make a suggestion to you if I don't know to make the suggestion for myself? So we always have to surround ourselves with individuals who know more. And this is right now through email, even through Facebook, through IGs, through the different challenges. There is so many ways to get information that we need. Somebody's doing what you want to do. Somebody has already broken the mold. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just align yourself with someone who knows how to get a wheel, who knows how to roll a wheel. That's all that's necessary. So we go from victim to victorious, and we start thinking of different ways. Of course, there's other steps that we'll get into, other steps that you can do in order to make yourself successful. Notice I said make yourself, because the natural self wants to sit. The natural man wants to go back, if you will, to Egypt. And I need to talk about that so bad. Egypt is the place where we used to have everything provided for us. We were stagnant. We had not enough. That's on our job. But we complained, felt worse, but kept going and did it further. And we put this thing in front of us called retirement and said, I'm doing all of this just so I can retire. Now imagine if you retire and you get, let's just say, $5,000, that's $2,500 every 2 weeks from retirement. And you got your 401k plan, you got your stocks, and you got your retirement. Your money is staying the same. It's just that inflation and the recession is squeezing more. You are capped at what you're getting. And let's just say hypothetically, you retire at 55 and you live to 75. You've got 20 more years to live on that same money. Hopefully you will not outlive your money. And there are people who absolutely do that. And you can almost see the people that do that, unfortunately, because they'll be working at Target or they'll be working at the gas station and they'll be gray haired and they'll be older, and you see them and you want to go, yes, sir, how are you, sir? And you feel bad for them because something might have shifted that caused them to work past their quote unquote retirement years or funds. Because why? They need more money coming in because they retired early and their money got capped. So we have to change how we think, change your mind, change what we say, start speaking right, and we have to start doing things that are going to get us in alignment to being successful. Success will come. And we'll talk about it another time. How do we actually become successful? Because it is possible to become a millionaire in this age and in this stage. There are millionaires popping up all over. Why won't you be one of them? All it takes is you having a thought. It takes you maybe taking a challenge. It takes you aligning yourself with someone who's an expert, someone who's done it, and just follow their exact steps. You don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just roll yours the same way someone rolled theirs. You'll find out that success is waiting for you. I appreciate it, guys. I'm just going to stop there. There's a lot more I have to say. Tune in for the next one. But I'm TSpeaks. If something I've said made sense to you, do me a favor, like, comment, share this post. I appreciate all you guys' support. Thank you for all the notes that say, hey, what you're saying is really helping me. I appreciate it because guess what? Success is waiting for you. It's waiting for you. You think success is going to come for you? No, you have got to get up and you've got to do something to change your outcome. You've got to change it. I'm TSpeaks, family. See you soon. Don't forget, you change your mind, you change your life. I'm TSpeaks.